first glance, this picture could just look like any other painting of a lazy naked woman far too tired to stand up, formerly from the genre of the reclining nude. And in fact, yes, we would be right in placing this painting in this category because Olympia is one of the most famous lazy naked women in art history. Yet I'm going to be talking about how Manet flips artistic tradition and scandalously changes the meaning of the reclining nude forever. Now, having a closer look at this painting, we have Olympia lying down on what I could best describe as a sort of sofa bed, supposedly reclining, but I'd argue more propped up and alert than leisurely relaxed. In one hand, she fondles some cloth, and the other is firmly placed over her crotch. She is completely nude, apart from a flower on one side of her head, a black ribbon tied around her neck, some pearl earrings, a bracelet, and her shoes that are half falling off her feet. At this stage, you might be wondering, what is so scandalous about our Olympia here? She seems to tick nearly all of the boxes of a classical reclining nude, a traditionally loved subject. Yet there is one enormously important difference that created a turning point in art history. And that is that Olympia looks right at us. And this look is a commanding stare. She almost seems to see right through us. She's not sleeping or submissively looking down. She is acknowledging that we are looking at her and she is looking right at us. And I've got to say, I've loved this painting for quite a while now. But last summer, I got the opportunity to go to the Musée d'Orsay and see Olympia and really feel the intensity of her stare. It's as though she's saying to the viewer, if anyone should feel uncomfortable, it is you. You are the outsider, and I am perfectly comfortable in my beautiful nudity. This is not the only scandalous feature of this painting. Usually, in art history, any depiction of a female nude had to be elevated to a goddess status, and therefore the name Venus, the goddess of love, would be attributed, as a sort of excuse to paint naked women. But this nude woman certainly isn't a goddess, perhaps quite the opposite, because the name Olympia was commonly known as slang for a prostitute, and the black ribbon tied around her neck is also a symbol for prostitution. And therefore, by Manet choosing to depict a contemporary subject and not Venus, he dared to suggest that the classical past had no relevance on this modern industrial present. The contemporary reaction to Olympia is crazy to our modern view. She was described as already in an advanced state of decomposition, as if she had come from the morgue and not having a fully human form. I mean, wow, that really is insulting. To me, it seems pretty strange that these critics thought of Olympia as dead, because she is in fact quite unsettlingly alive. I think they were just trying to think of the worst possible way they could insult Olympia, and that usually would be by calling her a whore, or any other horribly derogatory word. But Olympia owns her status as a prostitute. She is unashamed of her sexuality. So critics imaginatively had to think of the next best thing, a dead prostitute. You might be wondering why these critics were so actively repulsed by Olympia. You might be thinking, well, Manet could have done something far more offensive, but in a way he couldn't have. Olympia seems so outrageously scandalous and rude because she presents female sexuality not as passive or conveniently veiled by an immortal mask, but as confronting you. She also represented to the contemporary upper class a dramatic shift from their comfortable, uninterrupted bourgeois lives to an industrialised modernity. She is a beautiful yet terrifying metaphor of an irretrievable past and an as yet unknowable future. Even the inclusion of the black servant presenting Olympia with a bouquet of flowers puts a symbol of French colonialism there for all of us to see. Yet, on the extreme right-hand side of this painting is a rather comically rendered cat that perhaps represents a sensitivity in Olympia. This cat evokes a sense of pity, as if it has been caught in the headlights in a mean-spirited world that has left it helpless. And this is perhaps also evident in Olympia. She seems so self-assured and in command, yet she is also vulnerable in a society that enjoys commodifying women, but then shames them for this role that they play. And I think this is still sadly true in our society now. And Olympia is still confronting those who gaze at her, and she is still wonderfully alive today. This is Mimi for the Academy at London Art Studies.